welcome to Fintech Talks. Thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Mike, the co-founder and CEO at Taktile, and I'm very excited to be here.
And what is Tactile?
Taktile is a decisioning platform. We always say at Taktile, every decision matters. What does it mean? So we cover a broad range of use cases. It can be a credit decision, it can be a fraud decision, it can be a decision on debt collection. So like you don't only focus on one use case, but every of those decisions have one thing in common, which is they actually impact someone's life. They impact whatever. If a small business owner gets credit, they impact if you can like open a bank account. It's like what we do, I consider to be incredibly important for the financial kind of like life of people, and that's why we're really excited about our product and the impact that we have.
And I worked in credit cards for many years, and worked with decisioning and felt quite a few pain points there. Can you talk a little bit about like what are some of the top pain points that folks in credit decisioning are right now?
So I also like the reason why I founded the company is because I'm a machine learning engineer, and I build credit risk fraud models for banks and fintechs before founding the company. So I kind of like know the world pretty well myself. I want to work with kind of like this legacy decisioning infrastructure stack out there. And it's like I thought like the world is moving to AI. We have like a Cambrian explosion of data, and the world runs in general more on automated decisions. But there was actually no good decision software out there. That's where like we're now and try to like build something better. Main pain points you ask about is, I think number one is agility. It's like how fast as a risk professional can you actually make changes? And it's not only about making a change, it's about what is the right change actually? What should it be? If you always know what the right change should be, I think you don't need a decision engine, because decision engine is also about like it's about iterating, it's about testing, and then in the end it's about deploying. So a lot of the things that Taktile does is helping to actually figure out what the best decision is. Good back testing, good A/B testing, and then deployment, and all of that without the need of engineering resources, which is the status quo at many banks and fintechs out there. About an engineering team to help them to make changes. We don't need that anymore in Taktile. So agility is the one big first bucket, and the second one is access to data and access to AI. Like there, as I just said, there's a common explosion of data. You have Plaid with open banking data. You have fraud data providers out there. The bureaus have new products. We just want to be the Amazon for data. Our data marketplace can have every data source in every country in the world to your disposal. You need data for better decisions. And second is AI. Like the LLM companies, OpenAI and Anthropic, Google, like they have such incredible technology by now. How can you like get those LLMs into your processes? Can also do that via Taktile.
It's one thing that I've always sort of found a bit funny is that a lot of the data in the bureaus are, let's say, not ideal, and to be nice, and then the solution that is offered is more data, which might or might not be ideal. So like how like you talk about LLMs and AI. There's obviously a lot of talk about that. How is Taktile bringing that to bear? How are you empowering risk decision managers to use AI?
Yeah, it's a great question, because there are different buckets of AI. When I grew up, and the first wave of AI, being a data scientist in 2015, 16, 17, it was about bringing like new statistical models like machine learning, nonlinear models into even the old world of credit prediction. So instead of using like a linear model, you have a nonlinear model, which has already helped you to make a more powerful prediction with a given data set. Well, now what LLMs are really good at is giving you access to more data, like turning every type of unstructured data into structured data. If the final decision then is just being done by a scorecard or by an ML model, that doesn't really matter. But if you look about like B2B underwriting, you need to research what the business does. You need to look at financial statements. You need to look at bank statements. There is a lot of unstructured data, when this is like a perfect task for LLMs. So we bring those LLMs. Doesn't matter if it's Gemini, if it's like OpenAI or Claude Sonnet and Anthropic. They're all like incredible models, but like bringing them into part of the workflow and helping just to have more information retrieval, then have the credit risk expertise in there and make a decision.
So digging into a little bit of like the types of lending. is Tactile a solution for business, consumer, like mortgages
Yeah,
what can it be used for?
from the technology, it can be used actually for everything. We look at our current customer base. Half is consumer, half is B2B. So that's the rough split. And within consumer, some is auto, some is mortgage. A lot of things are like high velocity transactions like credit cards. Is a big part of the business. However, I think if you would like go back to AI, I think AI becomes incredibly powerful within the SMB segment because it's so heterogeneous, so different. The consumer is somehow a consumer, but like a business is not a business. And learning more with AI, like on those businesses, is actually drives a lot of prediction power.
What is the receptivity of risk managers are there any differences between those markets and the risk managers?
In consumer, there's a lot more regulation in consumer. So like getting AI into any type of consumer credit decision is much more difficult. People are very much afraid of making a mistake. In B2B is a little bit easier. There's regulation. So I think like there the adoption, and with something we can maybe talk about it later, something really exciting we're launching like B2B underwriting, that we do see a lot of adoption from there. I see also like it's not only about making better decisions. In B2B, it's a lot about actually automating decision making. So like I'm kind of going 100% of manual underwriting, going to 20% automation, 40% automation, 60% automation, and that drives a ton of value.
Okay.
That's a different use case, a little bit in terms of like business value behind using a decision engine like Taktile.
That makes sense. I actually saw that you posted something recently about the probabilistic use of AI. So I actually, I started off in my undergraduate as a physics major, and I remember like there's that Einstein quote about God does not play dice, right? I mean, does that also apply to risk manager? Risk managers should not play dice.
I couldn't agree more. So maybe also for everyone listening in, what we talk about is a big challenge of applying AI is that it is just not deterministic. You don't perfectly know what comes out of it. But that is normally not very good for credit decisioning. Which is why the good decision engine is not just about applying AI and making the end-to-end decision by AI. It's like embedding the power of AI into a framework and a set of rules that allows you to still run the business the way you want to run it. So like at Taktile, we combine machine learning with statistical models, LLMs, but also business rules around it. Without those business rules, it's very, very hard for you. And like all of these loans that have like a huge financial impact, also like on the biz of the book of your business. And you want to make sure that you have guardrails around it that actually allow you to combine deterministic with probabilistic methods in the market.
I mean, speaking as a former banker, I can relate to that. And I apologize. We never really got to talk about it. How did you decide to start Taktile? And like a little bit, like it's obviously not a natural thing that one says, let me start something.
No, I mean, I think there's the why did Maik Wehmeyer wanted to start a company, and there's like why did Taktile turn out. Why I wanted to start a company, I'm still struggling to answer that question for myself, to be honest. But I can tell you why Taktile emerged, which is like almost like eating our own dog food and working as a machine learning engineer, building every type of AI model for banks, also for insurance companies, e-commerce companies. And I just couldn't believe on like seeing what the production infrastructure looked like for most banks and insurance companies out there. And then I had to rebuild it themselves. And like at some point it's just like, if I build the same type of product on cheap, like 50 times, as a consultant, there needs to be a market for it. But however, the investors told me in the first place, what you're trying to build, there's a reason why everyone builds it in-house. It's because it's so core to what they do. Like if you go to Nubank, it's the biggest neobank in the world, 120 million customers. I went over to the office in Sao Paulo 3 years ago, and they looked at the product and said like, that's horseshit, get out of here. And then I came back 2 years later. They looked at it again and said, it's better now, but not good enough. We've invested a lot. We have 100 engineers building this thing. And I came back last year and I said, wow, now it's really, really good. I think like they're proving to the market and to investors that a thing which is so core and you've invested in so much can actually be replaced with an external software vendor. That was very, very hard to prove to the market, but I think we are there now.
And thank you for bringing that up. It's I like geographically is Tactile, is it in market in just in the U.S. or other?
I actually, someone asked me that in a job interview the other day, so I checked it out. We are in 27 countries now, live in production. However, more than half of the revenue is in the United States.
Okay.
It's the main market. In Latin America is becoming a really interesting market. I was just coming back last week to Sao Paulo, Mexico City. So actually some of our big customers there. But yeah, US main market and then split between UK, Europe, Latin America, a bit of India, a bit of Australia, a bit of Africa. But US, that's that's a big market.
And yeah, how then this is one thing that I always sort of was surprised by when looking at new markets, or not new markets, different countries. Like they have a very different outlook on lending and credit, and I'm curious, like from a market receptivity perspective, what's been the responsiveness to Tactile?
Every country is so different. If you go to Mexico, there the fight is against cash. Everyone runs on cash, and the question is like, first of all, how do you open a bank account? And then credit is the next question. You go to Brazil, like the whole country runs on credit. So it's like it's a much different perception of the market, and they value the product in a much different way. In Germany, it's always embarrassing to have a loan. It's like it's also like culturally, it is a very different market opportunity. But I think people do understand the value of making better and safer decisions at scale. That's a really have like a holistic type of perception of the product.
In order to build the business that you have, you need to be active in the industry, and you were at Fintech Meetup. Can you talk a little bit about your Fintech Meetup experience?
Yeah, what I think is special about Fintech Meetup, the reason why I go to those conferences, is to network. Like, that's why I go there. I don't go there necessarily to only like listen to like speeches and talks. I want to meet people. And it's very hard to meet people, especially the important people. So like I think the format at Fintech Meetup to make sure that this is what it's all about, and that drives a lot of value for me as a participant, specifically to me.
What might be? Do you have any words of advice for someone thinking about attending Fintech Meetup?
Yeah, it's all about the prep. Like like if you don't start like 5 weeks before, you're too late. Like showing up the night before is like, okay, where are my meetings? No, that's not how the show runs. Like people are like, they're important people coming, they're very busy people coming. And if you want to like cut through the noise, you need to make sure that you do your homework beforehand and request the meetings early enough. Lock them in, follow up the week before, follow up the day before, and make sure you have all the people that you really want to meet really locked into your calendar, and then know that you're expecting them. I think that's really important.
And you've obviously been able to cut through the noise and build momentum for Tactile. Like as a like early stage founder, or even like as part of a larger company, and like any thoughts on like how to put the best foot forward at an event like Fintech Meetup?
Yeah, I think people also want to meet interesting people, especially in the credit and risk community. Like everyone is like, normally if you look, like there's also a head of credit, a head of fraud. Like they're very lonely at the top. They run the show. And I think it's so incredible to make sure now they can meet. How at RAM they ask, how did you do it at Brex? And they did ask, how did you do it at Mercury? And making sure you can create an environment and a forum for those people to exchange in an amicable way is really important. So like I think what we did really well at Tactile is making sure we bring this risk community together, creating not a huge event, but a really like tailored event to the people that should speak with each other. I think that's my advice. Everyone like create something which is an experience that people come together. Only it shouldn't look only nice on LinkedIn. The people coming to the event, they should have a good experience about it. And I think that what has really helped us to to not only make a name, but also like to be like to get friends in the industry.
It's great to have friends in the industry. It's also, which is tough. It's also, I think, even tougher to get the right people on your team. Like how, as a leader, like how have you tried to build Tactile, a team, and like what sort of your vision for like how you want to continue to grow the team?
You asked me why I founded the company. I don't have the perfect answer to that, but I can tell you what I would be proud of. What I think one day if we're gonna IPO the company or we're gonna sell it, let's see what I think goes, knock on wood. But like if you would ask me like what you would be proud of, like exiting the company, it would be if everyone at Tactile would say that was the best career opportunity of my life. That would make me proud. Like, yes, are we going to make some money with it? For sure. We're going to build good technology? For sure. But you create a space of work where people are like, there's nothing better. I think that's kind of like what's really important to me personally. And I think if you have that vision of a company, a lot of things fall into place. How much time do you spend? How's your team members? How much time do you put in to hire the top-notch talent? And like all of this, how much time do you spend in the office? And like how many times you bring the team members together? All of this, like kind of like derives and trickles down from this one mantra that we have at Tactile.
I love that. I've never heard that of all the people I talk to, and I think that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Very personal, like.
So to close it out, you're obviously you're working on some very interesting things. What do you think is going to be interesting maybe a year or two down the line?
So what our customers are most excited about right now is our early non-public yet launch of our B2B underwriting agents. We will actually do the public launch tomorrow. So like I'm announcing that now. You feel tomorrow everywhere. Like the people are like absolutely amazed by how this technology of like agentic workforce actually can work. And I think if I take that down the line, combining more of what we talked about in detail, making more classical credit and fraud decisions and combining those with agents left and right, that is what will actually change the industry. I'm deeply convinced by that.
Well, I'm super curious about how that world turns out. And well, once again, thank you so much for joining us, Maik.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Really fun, beautiful office, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.